Good evening, everyone. So my name is Alison Weiss, and I'm the Executive Director of Sandy Spring Museum. Our mission is to support community-generated cultural arts programs in order to build community, and I think tonight's event is a perfect example of our mission in action. We always like to start our programs with a show of hands of who is here for the first time. Is there anybody here for the first time? Oh my goodness, so many of you. Well, we hope that this is just the first of many visits that you make to the museum. Think of this as your second home. I'm so happy to be welcoming you this evening for the celebration of folk life in Montgomery County. This is the first time that we are gathering under our official name of Regional Folklife Center of Montgomery County. So I hope you can indulge me for a minute, and I can tell you a little bit of the history of how we came to be the state-designated regional folklife of the county. In 2014, recognizing that there were so many living traditions to document in this area, we started doing exactly that. We went out and we started meeting people and documenting their stories. We met dozens of tradition bearers, people who play roles in their community of keeping the tradition strong. Doug can tell you more about the traditions and what constitute a folklife tradition. But I just want to emphasize that we try to leave no community behind. Everybody's stories are equally important to us, and we want everyone to feel like their story is worth being documented and shared with others. Between 2014 and 2019, we continued this work and we built a substantial network of folklife artists and tradition bearers who entrusted us with their stories. Because we took this role so seriously, in 2019, the Maryland State Arts Council and Maryland Traditions, which is an arm of the State Arts Council, designated the museum as the Regional Folklife Center of Montgomery County. So our focus really went from local to the entire region. We'll be hearing this evening from a representative from Maryland Traditions, but I want to take this opportunity to thank Maryland Traditions publicly for entrusting us with this honor, because it means an awful lot to us. Even though we were in the midst of the pandemic when we received this designation, we prioritized hiring Doug Peach as our folklife specialist, and I'm sure many of you have had the honor already of working with Doug. One of the first things that Doug did was facilitate the creation of a strategic plan for the Folklife Center. As with everything we do at the museum, we did it collaboratively. And I'm particularly proud of the mission that was embraced through this process, which is to help build a more equitable society by sustaining and advancing the folk arts of Montgomery County through celebration, education, and support. This evening, of course, is the celebration part of that mission. Now I'm going to turn things over to Doug Peach, our folklife specialist, and ask him to take over as the MC for this evening's program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Allison. Really appreciate that. How are we doing out there this evening? Yeah? See some nodding heads. I like that. I am Doug Peach. I'm the folklife specialist here on staff, and I am just so delighted to not see all of you on Zoom. That's really what I'm excited about. No, it's great to see all of you in person this evening. It's been so nice to connect with each of you after talking on the phone and emailing and doing all these calls for such a long time. It's just an honor to be in front of you. Allison said it, I'm gonna say it again. Tonight is a night of celebration. We're here to celebrate 12 artists from our region who were awarded folklife apprenticeships from the Maryland State Arts Council this year, 6 of whom will be in attendance this evening. These artists in our region comprise 6 of the 13 apprenticeships that were presented statewide in Maryland. A really amazing fact that we're here to recognize tonight. But when we were doing the research for tonight's program, we also came across another really interesting fact, and I'd love to share it with you. The fact is that since 2003, when the apprenticeship program began at the Maryland State Arts Council, there have been 52 apprenticeships awarded to artists in Montgomery County. Thank you. So just to give you some perspective here, that's 27% of all the apprenticeships awarded for the state of Maryland went right here to artists in our region. So what does that mean, right? What do these numbers mean? Well, for me, it tells me a couple things. Number one, it tells me that you all in this room are doing incredibly important work for your communities. You're doing amazing work for our region, and you're doing really impressive work at the state level. Now, I'm from South Carolina, and my cousins in South Carolina might put this a little bit differently. They might say, I think y'all are punching above your weight. So tonight, we're going to celebrate these contributions, and we're going to celebrate these contributions in the way that we best know how, and we're going to have some performances this evening. We are so delighted to have tonight performers who have gotten the apprenticeship this year and in years past come and perform for all of you. We're going to begin this evening with an amazing duo. That's Dr. Samia Ahmad and Abrar Ahmad. The mother and son duo have worked in the tradition of Hindustani classical music for the past couple of months and done really impressive work. Now, I have to say that Dr. Ahmad is no stranger to the apprenticeship program. She has also done an apprenticeship in 2008 and 2009 with her daughter, Iram, who I believe is in attendance this evening. Hi, Iram. Nice to see you. So I would say that the Ahmads are quite an impressive family, and we're so honored to get to hear Abrar and Samia, so we want to welcome them to the stage. Would you all give them a hand, please?
Good evening, everyone. This is such an honor and privilege for Abrar and myself to be here in this amazing venue in celebration of the traditional arts. And just want to introduce a little bit about Hindustani music. It's believed to be a very ancient art, almost 5,000 years old. But the beauty is that it's an oral tradition and has been passed on from the master to the apprentice and traveled all the way to the present time. And the beauty is while we stay connected to the roots, we have space to reinterpret or redefine the tradition. And working with Abrar, it's not just me teaching him, but I also learn from him. He plays a difficult instrument, clarinet, which I don't play. He has trained in the Western tradition, and I feel blessed that he agreed to start practicing with me in the Hindustani tradition. And he draws from the learnings of the Western classical music and tries to play the ragas on the clarinet. And I can only help him by singing it to him. He has to do all the playing. So I'm very grateful that everyone is here to support us and to encourage Abrar to move forward with this practice. So tonight, we've chosen an evening raga, which Abrar is learning, Rag Jog, and we will present it in a meditative, sort of an invocation format. And this space is, when we walked in, it's perfect. It calls for meditation. It's a very peaceful energy here. So we are very much looking forward to sharing Rag Jog with you tonight. साजन मोर घर आओ मोर मन सुख पावो मोर मन सुख साजन मोर घर आओ साजन मोर घर आओ Nisa gama pama gama gaga sa nisa. Gama gama pani sa ni pama ga. Nisa ga sa gama pama gaga sa. Gama pama pani sa ni pama gama ga. Sa ni pama pa gama pama ga. Ni sa gama pama ga sa ni sa. साजन मोर घर आओ, साजन मोर घर, साजन मोर घर, साजन मोर घर
What a wonderful way to start the evening. Can we give one more round of applause for Dr. Ahmad Anakar? Congratulations, you two. Thank you so much, Leah. It's beautiful. We would like to take this opportunity to present some awards. Our fearless leader, Alison Weiss, will come up and will give awards from the Montgomery County Council that we've received today to each of this year's winners who are in attendance. Artist, as your name is called, I would ask you to come up and to say hello to Alison, and a photo will be taken of the two of you together. And then if you could come up just right in front of this carpet and form a line here, we'll get a group shot of all of you after Alison finishes all the awards. So Alison, it's yours.
Thank you. I'm going to read what the awards say first. Each award says the Montgomery County Council awards this certificate in recognition of your dedication to sustaining the living cultural traditions of our diverse community and vision to guide the next generation of musical artists in the county and the state of Maryland. And the certificates are all signed by the council president, Gabe Albernaz. So I would like to ask Karen Ashbrook to come up. Yay! Pablo de Oliveira. Darab Shabahang and Mavash Vatakani. And if Samia and her son are nearby, there they are. Oops. And Samia Ahmad and Abrar Ahmad.
Congratulations, everyone. It's a wonderful honor. You know, we were talking that have been so many artists to receive apprenticeships in Montgomery County, but so few of them know each other. And that's really one of the goals for tonight, is to hope that all of you will get to know one another because you've had a similar experience. We would also like to recognize the artists who were not able to join us this evening, many of them because they had performances of their own. Let's take a moment to honor Dee Dee Weiland and also Jonathan Vach, who worked together in the tradition of American country music. Also Steve Bloom and Randy Rosso, who apprenticed in the Afro-Cuban tradition of bata. And also Chiao Tian and Sissa Paz, who respectively worked in the traditions of American hammered dulcimer music and also Brazilian cavaquinho music. Although they're not here, let's give them a round of applause as well. So as the rain comes down and before we move forward, I want to tell you a little bit about the work we've been doing here at the Regional Folklife Center. When we began in 2020, we met with dozens of artists and we asked them, how can we support you? What can we do with this center that's going to help your work? Well, perhaps it comes as little surprise to anybody in this room. The artist said, I need some money. They said, my gigs have dried up, my teaching has dried up, I need other opportunities in this really critical time. So what did we do? We listened and we responded. We have worked with dozens of artists since the pandemic began to write grants collaboratively. And I'm really proud to share that we have raised over $70,000 writing grants in collaboration with artists. And this has gone directly, thank you so much. This has gone to benefit not only them as individuals, but also the communities and the organizations with whom they're working in their communities. We want to let you know that we offer this service to all traditional artists in Montgomery County, no matter if you have never written a grant before in your life or you're a seasoned professional. This is a service that we offer as a part of our mission of support for the Regional Folklife Center. If you're interested, please come and see me. I'm happy to talk more about that. Now, let's go back to these conversations we were having with artists. When we spoke with these artists, there was also kind of another, perhaps more implicit thing that came out of those conversations. The artists were telling us, everything is moving online, I have to adapt my work online, I'm doing it okay, but I'm not doing it that well. We really listened to those comments, and since that time, we've raised $30,000 in grant funding to fund the Digital Folklife Lab. And this is a suite of audio, video, and also photography equipment that also comes with software, and perhaps best of all, it comes with training on how to use these things for your work as a traditional artist. And best of all, this comes at no cost to you. You'll see tonight there are lots of cameras in the room. We are using the Digital Folklife Lab to help record some of tonight. You'll see across the hall in our exhibit area, there's a photo booth set up. That's a part of the Digital Folklife Lab. We want you to know that those are tools that you can use to improve your work. So if you're interested in creating a live stream of your performance and having a professional photo shoot and other things that would help your digital work, please come and see us. We'd be happy to work with you on that. So let's get back to our celebration. This year, Karen Ashbrook completed an apprenticeship with fellow dulcimer player Chiao Tien. Ashbrook shared her deep knowledge of American hammered dulcimer style with Qian, who is also an accomplished dulcimer player in the Chinese style of this, or Chinese version of this instrument. Chiao is not able to be here with us. She has her own performance tonight, but Karen has brought along another partner, and that's her husband, Paul Orts, to play for you this evening. And I think they're going to share some music that had been a part of their apprenticeship experience. So we're going to move this dulcimer around, but could you please give them applause to start their performance?
And now it's on. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Doug. My husband's playing harp guitar, in case you're wondering. We're going to start with a couple of tunes that I've taught Chow that are some of the first tunes I learned to play. I took up hammer dulcimer in the mid-'70s to play old-timey music. It's actually a big part of New England. I'm from New England. And I learned that after I moved to this area and started playing dances at Gleneco. So this area has been very integral to expanding my dulcimer repertoire and dance repertoire. But this first tune was composed by Luca Thomason, and it's a favorite waltz in the dance community. You're in G. I thought we started in D. Oh, okay. We will come back to that. Okay, we have a guitar and all right. Well, we're going to start with the real reason I moved to the D.C. area, Maryland area. And this is true. I'm not making this up. I moved here because of the Irish music scene and House of Musical Traditions, which gave me a job, which is in Montgomery County in Tacoma Park, Maryland. And the Irish music scene between Baltimore and D.C. is just fabulous. And part of what Chow's learning from me is some Irish music, since a lot of Irish tunes are incorporated into contra dance music and dance music, and hammer dulcimer players took the Irish music right away. So this is a little sweet. I'm going to start with a slow air called Sleeve Galambraise, and then we're going to play a slip jig, drops of brandy. We're going to go into a hornpipe. It's a real sampler here called Cronin's. It's a test of me. And we're going to end with a reel called Moving Clouds, the Moving Clouds. Right. do. Okay. Now we're going back to my roots, which is where we're starting with Chow. Right, so old-time music, music from the Appalachians, but also music used for contra dancing. The hammer dulcimer was a big instrument in New England, and it was essentially the piano before the piano took over, was called the lumberjack's piano. So Chow and I are working with that music that started the instrument and has carried forward today among players while adding in Irish music and hymns and a little Quebecois music into the mix, all that good stuff. So we're going to do Midnight on the Waters now, I hope, now that we're in D. And, and then we're going to end with one of the very first fiddle tunes I ever learned, and I've taught Chow, Ragtime Annie. And some people play it with 2 parts. I learned it with 3 parts. And as I explained to Chow, a lot of Southern fiddle tunes don't exactly have lyrics, but they have the lyrics as far as the name of the tune. And Ragtime Annie, the 3rd part of Ragtime Annie, is where you get to sing Ragtime Annie. That's the extent of the lyrics, but that's how you remember the name of the tune. Unlike Irish music, where nobody remembers the names of the tunes. So here we go, Midnight on the Waters and Ragtime Annie. And thank you, it's such an honor to be here and so great to be a part of this event. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
How about one more hand for Karen and Paul, everybody? That was great. Just wonderful. Allison made the really important point that we couldn't do this work without the Maryland State Arts Council, and especially Maryland traditions. We are a part of what's called the Maryland Folklife Network, and we receive generous funding to do this work in the museum. So we are indebted and grateful to the Maryland State Arts Council for all of their work and all of their support. And this evening, I'm very happy to share that Ryan is here from the Maryland State Arts Council. Let's give Ryan a hand. Ryan's going to share a little bit about their work, and we're going to see some of the work as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. Good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to be the state bureaucrat when we're being celebrated and applauded. This is so refreshing. But hello, and thank you all so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. This is, I confess to you, the first time I have actually been in person since I started this job, 2 days after Maryland went into lockdown in March 2020. So this is a big milestone for me personally, and I am as filled with joy as I can hear in your laughter and your clapping. So thank you all so much. As Doug said, my name is Ryan Coons, and I'm Folklife Specialist at the Maryland State Arts Council, which means that I get to co-administer Maryland traditions, and I know many of you are very familiar with that program, which identifies, documents, supports, and presents the traditional arts, which, because y'all have told us what to do, we now define as community-based living cultural traditions handed down by example or word of mouth. So I actually get to administer the Folklife program, the Folklife Apprenticeship program, which is such a joy to be able to meet so many of you in person, finally, who I've only ever seen pixelated or on the phone, or sometimes in your grant application materials, which is even better. And it's such a pleasure to be able to celebrate you all and the work that you do and the traditions that you maintain tonight. And as you know, this grant program is really designed to be able to facilitate that generational movement of knowledge within the tradition from one generation to the next. That is its function. As Doug mentioned, this program was founded in 2002 by some of our former colleagues. Grants started rolling out the door in 2003, and since then, Maryland Traditions has funded 190 Folklife Apprenticeship teams, which is quite an impressive feat, I gotta say. You've had a delightful local Montgomery taste of the Folklife Apprenticeship and its gems tonight. And in addition to what you have heard and enjoyed this evening, we've also been able to fund folks in other musical traditions, theater, dance, visual arts, culinary traditions, fabric arts, occupational traditions. This means that we get to fund folks who come to us from traditions in blacksmithing, American Indian powwow singing, Puerto Rican bamboy plena percussion and dance, Baltimore screen painting, Beijing opera techniques, wildfowl decoy carving, black storytelling, lumpy chicken and pastry making, building and rigging crab pots, Mexican dance forms, African American community quilt making, Irish fiddle and dance, Korean salmonori percussion, oyster harvesting techniques, Cambodian ceremonial music, Bharatanatyam dance. And that's just barely scratching the surface. There's an awful lot of awesome traditions in Maryland, and y'all are a vital part of that. For those of you who are looking ahead, I strongly urge you to apply or reapply for a Folklife Apprenticeship during this next cycle. I know that some of you are aware that very recently, or during this most recent legislative session, the Maryland General Assembly approved an additional $40 million for MSAC to disperse and get out the door in traditional, well, not just traditional, in all arts funding to independent artists and organizations. This is a historic amount of funding for the arts sector in any state, and Maryland is included in that. And it's specifically designed to ensure the strong recovery of the arts sector from the COVID-19 pandemic. And we at MSAC are as extraordinarily as excited as y'all, our constituents, are. Now, as you can imagine, $40 million is a lot of money, and it requires an awful lot of administrative support to figure out how to get it out the door in 1 year. We're not quite there yet. So stay tuned. We're trying to figure out what on earth we're going to be doing with this $40 million, but at the moment it looks like we're going to be putting it out through our existing grant programs. So this is going to be the ideal time to apply for money because we've got a lot of it. Something else to put on your radar, I know a number of you have been aware that my colleague Chad Buterball has been with strong constituent input, creating a new grant program. It's going to be designed to be essentially operating funds for artists. This means that you get to use what's probably going to be a flat $10,000, $12,000 a year unencumbered for your mortgage, your car payments, your health insurance, your groceries. Oh yeah, and fabrication materials, painting materials, costumes, whatever it is you need to do your art and to live as an artist. This is new, this is exciting, we're creating this. Looks like we're going to start marketing in the fall, and applications will be rolling out and open in January, so stay tuned. And if you know artists who need money, tell them about it. Let's see what else. Oh yes, if you aren't already signed up to our mailing list, msac.org is where we roll out all of this information. So I strongly encourage you to check us out there. Also, please be in contact with us. We are literally paid to offer you technical assistance. That is literally part of our jobs. So please make us work for our money. But of course, this $40 million kind of begs the question, why fund these traditions? Why use taxpayer dollars and state employee time to fund these tradition bearers? You all know the reason why, but grant makers sometimes like numbers. You know, we could talk about how the arts in Maryland provide an economic impact to the tune of $828.7 million during fiscal year 21, which is a huge amount of money. But I'd prefer to hear from tradition bearers themselves why the arts and state support and arts funding is so important. This year, for the first time, MSAC has been working with a documentary film media producer that we've contracted to create a series of documentary short films, if grantees so desire to receive this, as it's given as a free service to Folklife apprenticeships and heritage grantees, if they so desire it. And by way of demonstrating the importance of the Folklife apprenticeship and of the arts more generally in Maryland, I would like to share with you the first of these films. It's already available on MSAC's YouTube channel. It features the sharecropper-style quilting apprenticeship team master artist Catherine Wooten and apprentice artist Suzanne Coley. Enjoy.
I was born in 1932 at a little town in North Carolina called Pine Tops. My father was a sharecropper, my mother was a seamstress. Back then, they didn't make quilts for beauty. They made quilts to keep you warm at night because it was no heat in the house. So we would have maybe 2 or 3 quilts on each bed in order to keep warm. My father would take cotton that we raised on the farm. Before they put it in bales, he would always take some out for my mother to use in her quilts. She was a seamstress and sewed for everybody, so she always had scraps. But a lot of the people made quilts out of old clothes or feed bags, anything that they could put together to keep warm.
Sharecropping quilting is this practical knowledge and application of sewing mixed with this joy for life. The cultural significance of documenting sharecropping quilting is because it finally gives a name to a form of quilt making in the African American community. Before this time, there was no name for this art form. They just say African American quilting.
I used to watch my mother sew. She would sew for the neighborhood, and they would bring her a picture or something and make whatever they wanted. To me, it just came natural. No one never taught me. I never went to school for designs and all that. I first started out making my own patterns because most of the quilts was about my childhood. No better way to express your memories, that you can put all this stuff in maybe 22 inches. Before I got into quilting, I was making clothing. And I would make clothes for myself, and people would see them, ask me, "Did you make that?" I said, "Yes." "Would you make one for me?" So I started sewing for the neighborhoods. I made everything but shoes. I never made any shoes.
I joined the African American Quilters of Baltimore, and one of the things I noticed was that many of the women were in their 80s and 90s, and they had never been documented. And I was just very interested in their stories, and I wanted to know more about them. They couldn't quite articulate their experience with language, but they could definitely articulate their experience with fabric.
It's a feeling that's hard to explain, and a feeling that you would never know unless you do a quilt. I have one of my mother's quilts, and at first I kept it on my bed, but it started fraying around the edges. So I made another quilt exactly like the one my mother made, and that's on my bed every night. When I go to sleep at night, and I wrapped the quilt around me, I felt like I was getting a hold from her.
I am so interested in lived experiences of these sharecroppers. These quilts tell a story and a journey from that time to now. You know, they came up before civil rights. So this freedom that they have to express themselves with this textile is not just artistically significant, it has a profound cultural significance that we may not even know until years later. And if she's one of the last ones that we can talk to, imagine if we missed this story.
You can do anything that you want to do, anything you have in your mind that you want to do, and you can draw it. You can put it in a quilt, because all you have to do is cut it out and add seam allowance and put it back together. You could put pants on ants. You could put dresses on fish. Anything that you could imagine, you could do it with a quilt. So I think it's important to not let that die, to keep it going.
My way of preserving it and passing it along will not just be making quilts, but making books. I use quilt making principles and practices to make the pages. My introduction to the African American quilters was as someone already working with textiles at the Smithsonian and with scholars. But with Catherine and Sharecropping Quilting, I didn't have to go to any library. Catherine Wooten is the library.
I'm at the end of what I've done, and I want to leave behind something that I have done while I'm passing through. It means everything to me to have a chance to share what I've done in my life with someone else.
That was moving, wasn't it? Ryan, thank you so much. This is incredible work and incredible storytelling that you're helping to facilitate, so thank you. And I hope some of you in the room will take advantage of these extra funds and these extra opportunities as we move forward. This is really incredible. We would like to take a moment to say thanks to those folks who serve on our advisory committee. We are here, staff at Sandy Spring Museum, but we have this wonderful group of individuals who are scholars and community leaders here in Montgomery County who both hold our feet to the fire with what we say we're going to do and then give us their expertise and so that we can make our program the best it can be. So I'd like these people to stand up once I call your name. First, President Albita Rivera, there in the back. Mark Puryear, who's in the audience too. There he is. Dareb Shabahang. Alison Weiss, our director, is on the board as well. Oh, come on, Alison. And we've got a few individuals who couldn't make it this evening, and that's Michelle Stefano and Bruce Evans, and also Camila Bryce Laporte. But our last member, who I want to end with, is Sutira Nagajavara. And I end with Sutira because, through the course of my time with Sutira, I've learned that Sutira is good at a lot of things. Sutira is not only a very, very talented dancer in the Thai tradition. She has done an apprenticeship in Cambodian music with Chum Yek, who has won the highest honor in the traditional arts in the United States called the National Heritage Fellowship. Sutira also has a wonderful group called the Somapa Thai Dance Company. They're the premier Thai dance company in the metropolitan DC area. And we would like to ask Sutira to come to the stage and perform for you. But Sutira has asked me, perhaps this is a mistake, to introduce the song that she is going to perform for us this evening. So the song is called Choi, Chang, Watong. So this song is a solo Thai dance, in the solo Thai dance repertoire. The dance was taken from the well-known Thai literature called Kung Chang Chun Pan. This solo dance speaks of love and bonding of the mother, Nang Wen Tong, who is a spirit or a scary ghost who's transformed herself into a beautiful woman walking in the forest and coming to stop her son, Pra Wai, from going to war. After this solo dance, the story continues with Wan Tong's son, who is then seeing a beautiful woman and becomes infatuated with love and tries to court Wan Tong. Wan Tong then had to transform herself back into the shape of a ghost and confessed to her son that the beautiful woman was in fact a spirit of his mother in disguise. Man, I can't wait for this dance now. It's going to be wonderful. Let's welcome to all of us Sutira Nagajavara.
So I'm not sure if you got the story, but it's a love that the mother was having or sharing with the son. She didn't want the son to go to war, and when she was thinking about her son, her heart was breaking. Not only she's already dead, the son will be getting in trouble, and she wanted to stop that. Anyway, so Doug had asked me to talk a little bit about my experience as the apprentice under the apprenticeship program. And unfortunately, my master, Chang, is not here today. So I will be talking, and he's not here. But my experience has been so wonderful. That's how I came across Doug, and I think you found me because as part of the apprentice, I got a chance to perform Cambodian music at the National Folk Festival with my master. And that's how I think from that publicity, I think how Doug came to know me. And since then, we have been collaborating in terms of I got a chance to share my experience as a community member in Montgomery County and also as a traditional artist with the museum. And not only I got to contribute my input, but also this experience has widened my perspective about traditional art and what I can push beyond just my own traditional art. And I basically do Cambodian and Thai dance and music. But working with Doug and with the museum gave me opportunities to learn so much about other cultures and other traditions. And I recently performed 2 weeks ago, and I saw Mark on the same stage. So basically, my world has become so much bigger. I got to contribute using my also project management. Like Doug said, my full-time job, I'm a program manager, and I manage a lot of grants and write a lot of proposals and in an international context. So I get to share my experience not only as an artist but also as a program manager to help with the strategic planning and things like that. So. So basically the experience has been so great, not just apprentice, but also being involved as the advisory committee member. And basically this experience has really fuels my creativity and solidified the sense of community that I have in Montgomery County. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sutira, for your words and for your dance. I would like to share with you that Sutira is going to be performing with her group, so Mapa Thai Dance Company, at our 40th annual Strawberry Festival. That's going to be held June 11th and 12th here at the museum. Imagine the grounds here at the museum. Now imagine 10,000 people in 2 stages on the grounds. That's what's going to happen on July 11th and 12th. It's going to be a great event, everyone. It's a celebration of the summertime, a celebration of strawberries, and someone even told me that there's a tradition of someone making strawberry soup for the festival. So we hope you'll come out. It's going to be a great time. Please join us. I would like everybody to stand up where you are, and come to the front. We're going to look to Teresa to direct us, but please come on up. Don't be shy. Come this way, come this way. We're going to form some lines, and Teresa's going to take a photograph of us.